Hey folks, Andrew here, and in this video, we're going to walk through what you should be saving by every age. Plus, we are going to highlight the median net worth by age and things you can focus on to increase your savings at each economic stage of life. But if you just want to jump right into it and you can't wait, you can skip to your section. There are timestamps in the description below. It's a piece of cake, right?
Probably just meant that I love cake. I couldn't resist it. Hey, it's all good.
Don't worry though. Nothing bad can happen to you if you decide to go right to your section. Or if you decide to hit the like and subscribe button along the way, you're not going to end up like Kevin Hart in the Jumanji reboot. So let's dive right into things at age 20. So this early in your life, you're either likely working a full-time job or you're still even in school, just racking up the debt thanks to your friend, the government, and student loans, especially if you're studying in the United States compared to Canada, where tuition and fees are generally much, much higher, okay? Not to mention the lack of focus on actually earning and saving money at this point in life. And there's more time spent enjoying the college lifestyle. Let's call it, keep this thing PG on the channel here, folks. But it's actually pretty difficult to find data for this age because not a lot of people are making money in their 20s. But one article I did find from Ramit Sethi, author of I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Read that book if you haven't read it yet. But the average net worth of a 22-year-old is actually negative 39,000 and change. And I think we can safely assume someone who's in their 20s would pretty much always have a negative net worth. Maybe not quite this much debt because they still have a couple of years of school left, but it's racking up in that kind of time frame. Don't panic. This is normal for a lot of people, okay? After you earn your degree, you go get a job, hopefully right away, and start making money. Now, if you're able to subsidize some of the expenses during school through scholarships, through bursaries, the bank of mom and dad, perhaps, then good for you. You're doing better than the majority at this age. If you didn't go to college, university, and you went straight into the workforce, you'd also be quite well ahead of the norm, assuming you aren't spending more than you make and are maxing out your credit cards. So what can you focus on at this age to help increase your net worth and bring it up into the positive? Number one, reduce your debt as much as possible, okay? If you can find a job during the school year and you don't mind trading time at the pub for stocking shelves or helping customers, great, do that, okay? Or work, if you prefer in the summer, work like crazy, cut lawns, wash windows, whatever it takes. Make sure you save a portion of that income to pay down some of your student loans that you've got. The more you can pay off right after you graduate, the higher your chances of having a positive net worth before you are 30. If you're going to continue your education, though, pursue some kind of doctorate or some other specialized form of credentials, it's unlikely that you're going to have a positive net worth by age 30. That's just the reality there, okay? The caveat, though, for those people is that once you do start earning that income on your first job, whether it may be a doctor, dentist, whatever it is, it should be significantly higher than everybody else who opted for a 2, 3, 4-year, 1-year degree, okay? There has to be a reward for 8 years of college, right, in some way. Another thing you should be focusing on at this age is opening and the responsible use of a credit card. And this doesn't mean you can't have any fun, okay? I know what college was like. I went and did it myself, but you know what I mean. Responsible with the credit card. Don't go crazy with it. It's important to get that credit card up early and start building up your credit rating. Why? Because the older that you are, you're going to have better credit. If you have better credit, you have more access to financial products that will give you a chance to pay less interest long-term on things like car loans, mortgages, lines of credit, etc. And it looks much, much better to have a sparkling credit score when applying to rent a home or apartment, wherever you plan on living after you're done your studies, okay? Because let's be honest, home ownership right out of school, it can be a little bit challenging to pull off, especially with the run-up we've seen here in Canada, at least the last couple of years with the real estate market, okay? So the last thing you should also be doing at this age is starting to invest in yourself. You've got access to a big library. Maybe you don't know where it is on campus. I didn't for the first year I went to school, but make use of it. Start reading about personal finance, investing, how the money system works. This is going to cost you some of your time, but the return on this is going to last you forever, okay? Forever. If you can begin to kind of get some solid principles under your belt, understand why spending less than you make is important, get a grasp of where your money is flowing in your 20s, you'll be setting yourself up for huge success in your 30s, and it's never too early to start saving, young folks, so go get after it. Okay, so the next age bracket, number 30, is the one I'm currently in. And so I'm speaking from experience here. I'm living it day to day. And according to our friends at CNBC and also Spring Financial, by age 30, we should have at least 1 year's salary saved. So that means if your annual salary is $60,000 a year, you should have $60,000 in the bank. And that amount could be in your IRA if you're in the States, a TFSA or RSP if you live in Canada, or it could be sitting in a non-registered stock investment account or equity built up on a piece of property that you own, whatever it may be, okay? Where it shouldn't be, though, is sitting in a savings account earning 0.01% interest, earning you nothing, okay? Don't leave it in the bank doing nothing for you, okay? Put your money to work, people. Now, the median net worth of a 30-year-old is just shy of $14,000, meaning that by age 30, you should have been able to crawl out from underneath your student debt, if you had any, and you are officially in the black. Welcome to the club. So if you have more than 14 large by age 30, you're doing better than half the population of the United States. Let that sink in for a second, okay? And just for full transparency, I'm going to share what my net worth was at age 30 in the comments section below. If you feel comfortable sharing your age and savings amount, that would be awesome, because I really like to hear from you guys and see where you guys are at, okay? And keep in mind, if you don't have that much saved, or you're even still in debt at age 30, that's all right too. If you're watching your video, you're hungry for information and you're moving in the right direction, life is all about where you want to end up and working to get there every single day while enjoying that journey day to day, okay? So having or not having a certain amount by 30 isn't as important actually as having goals you want to achieve and working towards them daily, okay? This video, I made it just to highlight where most people are at by certain ages to help give you a gauge if you should choose to use it, okay? Remember, it's never too late to start upping your money game. So, in my opinion, a few things that worked well for me at the ripe old age of 30 was first to focus on increasing the amount of my savings, okay? If you can bump your savings rate from 5 to 10 to 20%, you can fast track your way to retirement, or at the very least, ensure you're gonna have enough money for when you do decide to step away from your working job. Here's what I mean. If we assume you're making $60,000 annually, saving 20% of that would be $12,000 a year. Now, if you invest that $12,000 and get an average rate of return of 8%, which happens to be the historical average of the stock market, and you invest $12,000 each year for the next 35 years, by the time you're 65, you know what you're sitting with? Over $2.4 million. Crazy, right? That's the power of compounding interest and letting your money do the hard work for you, okay? The median net worth at age 65, by the way, in the United States, is only $266,000. So if you can figure out a way to save 20% of a $60,000 salary, you would have nearly 10 times the average amount saved up by quitting time. Now, let's say even if you only save 5%, which is just $3,000 per year, you'd end up with $600,000 after 35 years of investing. Again, well ahead of the average. So the key concept here is saving some of your income and putting your money to do the work for you. One other thing you should be focusing on at age 30, though, is paying off all your bad debt. And this includes student loans, vehicle loans, credit cards, any other debt that doesn't generate income for you. That is bad debt, okay? An example of good debt would be by taking out a mortgage to buy a rental property, or using a line of credit to maybe purchase some equipment for your lawn care business. That's an example of good debt, because they both bring in money and help you increase your net worth, okay? Maxing out the credit cards to go on vacation or furnish your apartment with the whole Apple package would be classified as bad debt, as these items don't create cash flow. They suck the cash from you, okay?
I'll get the pills.
Out with the battery! Out with the battery!
And just to be clear, I'm not saying don't enjoy life here. We all need to relax in our own way, but if you can focus on clearing up the bad debt, that would be a huge win. And the last point I'll make for your 30s is that you want to build your skills so that you can learn even more money to stack that cash, okay? It's simple math. If you make more, there's more money available to save and invest. And the easiest way that I found to earn more is very, very simple, okay? Here's what it is. Connect with people who make the amount of money you want to make, and then just do what you do. That's right. Your third grade teacher got it wrong. Copying off others in the real world is okay, folks. Trust me, I know. Seriously though, if you want to be rich, find someone who's rich, copy them, do what they do, okay? Here's a shortcut that I've seen though, time and again with wealthy people. They prioritize their education, and it doesn't just stop with college. I'm talking about by age 30, if you can afford it, you should be paying for some kind of course or investment training. Invest in yourself, create a better version of you. For example, if you pay $2,000 for mentoring from someone who's really successful, right? And it leads to a $10,000 salary hike for you, you didn't spend $2,000, right? You invested in yourself and got back $8,000, right? 10 minus 2 is 8, right? That's an amazing return. And the more often you can do this, the better for your net worth. Okay, so now we're here at age 40 and things are starting to heat up a bit. The median net worth of someone age 40 in the US is about $80,000. And this may seem like a large number, but as we just went over, if you start at 30 and invest consistently, 80 large is very possible, if not on the low end of what you can actually achieve. The experts suggest you're having 3 times your annual income saved up in some kind of form. The reason for this isn't arbitrary, by the way. Maybe you've heard of Charlie Munger and the quote that he says the first 100,000 is the most difficult. He's Warren Buffett's like right-hand man, by the way, knows a little bit about investing. So once you get the 80 or 100K, the amount of income that your stash of cash is able to generate goes up significantly. So here's an example I'm going to walk you through. If you make 10% return, for example, on $100, it's $10 of profit. 10% of $1,000 is $100 of profit. Okay. On $10,000, it's $1,000 of profit, and it keeps going up and so on. So once you get that 100K in the bank, you're going to be generating $10,000 a year of investment profit, and then just keeps growing and adding into your fund and your pool of money, and just keeps growing on top of itself. That's compounding on itself, right? So generating these large sums of money each year should help you give an idea of your numbers for retirement. This is something you should also be thinking about at age 40, or at least putting a rough plan together. Okay. The rule of thumb for this is that when you retire, you're going to want to have to live off of about 4% of your assets every year. So if you have $1 million in the bank at age 65 when you retire, we're going to multiply 1 million by 4%, which is 0.04. You get an annual amount of $40,000. Okay. And that 40 grand, this is the amount you'd have to live off of for 1 year without eating into any of your $1 million that you saved up. It's not touching the cookie jar, it's just taking the extra crumbs that are on the outside. Okay. Why do we use 4% instead of the going rate of 8% of the stock market returns like we did earlier? Well, basically, as you get older with your investing, you want to choose less volatile, less risky products to protect your portfolio. So your returns are going to be a little bit less because you're taking on less risk. If you think in retirement, though, you want more than 40K a year, you can just take whatever number you want, let's say 60,000 this time, and then you just take that number and divide it by 0.04, okay? So 60,000 divided by 0.04, this is going to give you 1.5 million, which is the number you're going to need to save by the time you're 65 to live off of 4% of your investments, okay? You can then take 1.5 million, which is your goal for the next 25 years, right? Because it's age 40, subtract the 80,000 you already have in your bank account, and you need to save an additional 1.42 million. Now, stay with me here, okay? This might seem like a lot, but don't forget, you've got 25 years to do it, and your old friend compound interest is going to help you get there, okay? So if you earn $60,000 a year, you can save 20% of that, or $12,000 a year, invest it for 25 years, and get that 8% return. You will end up with $1.5 million and be right on track. One other thing to consider, though, around 40 is any big expenses in the near future. Think education for your kids or kids themselves, because they can cost a lot to raise, right? People with parents, you guys know this. There may be costs for taking care of parents as they age and get older, or money needed for large renovations or improvements to your home. These things should be on the table. There should be a plan for where this money is going to come from, along with a 3 to 6 month emergency fund built up for those rainy day moments. Pop, get the umbrella out, okay? Also, I touched on it earlier, and I'll say it again. The whole time from 20 to 30 and 30 to 40, you want to be protecting and enhancing your credit score. Anything above 760 is considered to be excellent and will give you the best rates for borrowing, and thus allow you to pay the lowest amount of interest, keeping more money in your pocket and savings instead of in the banks. That brings us to age 50, okay? And the median net worth at age 50 in the US checks in at 168,000. And the amount that you should have saved at this point in life is around 6 times your annual income. So let's say you've been putting in work at work, it sounds right. But investing in yourself at age 50, you're bringing in a cool 70 G's. You would want to have 6 times that amount, or $420,000 invested. Outside of hitting that number, there are 3 other things I think are very important at this age. The first is paying off the rest of your bad debt. We talked about that earlier. In most cases at age 50, it's going to be your mortgage. If you did buy a home or an apartment or whatever in your 20s and 30s, chances are you'll be close to paying it off in your 50s. Ideally, you should do this, or at least have a plan written down to do this before you retire, so you can remove that large expense from your balance sheet and get it out of there, okay? Plus, once you take that off your balance sheet, you can then use that money to then diversify your investments, which is a number of things you should do at age 50, okay? You could buy a business, you can invest in rental properties, you can buy some cryptocurrency, add to the stock portfolio in different sectors, whatever it's going to be. You want to focus on buying reliable streams of income with this extra cash, okay? And last thing here, you should probably think about a will at this point. No, not this will, one that lays out how your assets will be divided after you're gone, okay? A lot of people downplay the significance of having one in place, but there can be tax implications when leaving your assets in the hand of the court. It's better to have control over who gets what. After all, you spent all this time working and building your nest egg, so make sure whatever's left goes to the right people. And finally, at the age of 60, you're 5 years away from retirement, and the median net worth there is 213,000. By this point in life, you should have 8 times your annual income saved, which again will depend on how much you're making, of course. If we take 70,000 as your annual salary, then you should have 8 times that, or $560,000 built up in assets at your disposal. If you're trying to hit that 1 or 1.5 million number, though, you'll need to have more saved up at this point. Also, take into consideration that inflation, probably heard about this, of goods and services will likely require you to save more than $1 million for retirement, because $1 million today will not be worth the same as it will be in 25 years from now. The prices of goods and services keep going up over time thanks to inflation. Okay, you guys get it. That's why I'm such a huge advocate of investing in assets that are protected from inflation, like real estate, Bitcoin, stocks, so that even if inflation keeps ripping higher, these assets will help you offset the difference and help you keep pace. Okay, you're not going to be losing ground. So if you're just starting out on your path to financial independence as a 25-year-old, these numbers need to be bumped up over the next 20 years. But you're smart enough, keep saving consistently, adapt to the changes around you, you'll be fine. Okay. So quickly jumping back to the other important notes at age 60, you should have your primary residence paid off in full, so you're retirement ready. You should know your numbers for your monthly budget of retirement and understand where you're going to get your income from. Okay. It could be a monthly pension, dividends from stocks, selling a certain percentage of shares every year, rental income, whatever it is, you should know where and when to access it. Okay. Another important item here is to make sure you have a long-term healthcare plan in place. Medical expenses add up and become more frequent as we get older. So having a policy after you're finished working and no longer having a benefits package that you can kind of take advantage of can give you peace of mind and potentially save you lots of money depending on your health concerns. Okay. And the last thing, maybe the most important thing here at 60, start finding hobbies. You need to start your life, but make sure you have some hobbies at 60 to fill your time with once your working career is over. I believe that you can start tiptoeing into these things before you retire and get a feel for what you want to do and what your days should be like. You're getting super close to having all the free time you could ever want. Best to know how you're going to spend that time to get the most out of your life. Okay. And that wraps up age 60. And that wraps up this video. Again, if you feel comfortable, leave a comment with your age and net worth. I'm going to be doing the same. We're all in this together, guys, trying to learn, trying to better ourselves one day at a time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out some of my other content, and I will see you on the next one.